Good day, dear viewers. This is Don151 of Mekkah,
Hello.
and you're watching Chapter 18 of my Fire Emblem 6 Hard Mode 0% Girls playthrough.
Alright, this is like a deja vu, but once again, Fanny is picking up the Delphi shield, and that means she's gonna see some more combat, which I'm always very excited about, for reasons I explained last time. I guess she makes some really good bait, huh?
Yes, Shanna is the best ballista bait, and also jail bait, but you didn't hear me say that.
I definitely did not hear you say that. I guess she's also pretty important, because this map is like covered in forests.
Yes, indeed it is. This map, I can almost liken it to Chapter 14, which was a desert map, because you might have gleaned from the map preview. You can't really see it in this screen because this part of the map is relatively clear, but throughout the middle of the map, it's basically completely blanketed in forest tiles. And what forest tiles do, as you might have guessed, is that they hinder the movement of grounded units. For infantry, they have a 2 movement cost when moving through forest, and for mounted units such as paladins and valkyries, they have a 3 movement cost. Now, surprisingly, for some reason, nomads such as Shin only have a 2 movement cost when moving through forest. So they actually have a slight advantage compared to his other mounted brethren. And we're going to see they come in useful for a couple of rescue chains that we're going to do later on in the map.
Yeah, this map is also blanketed in snow, but unlike in Fire Emblem 7, that doesn't really matter for gameplay. All it does is it makes the map look fancy, I guess, and nice, and it ruins your video file and makes it really big. But that's all there is to it. It just looks nice.
It's not as bad as Chapter 14, though, with the sandstorm. That made my video file really big.
I pity you. I really do. So right now we're seeing rescue chains being used quite a bit already, and we're going to see a lot more in this chapter because, as said, our units are really imbalanced in our movement right now, so we need to take advantage of the few far-moving units that we have, which is mostly the 4 flyers and Shin. You need to make sure that, among others, Ladum, who just got dropped, is somewhere near the front line so she can dance to someone who can actually get use out of it. Because a turn extra in the back line doesn't really do all that much for you, but a turn for someone in the front line, that just makes advancing towards the gate a lot quicker.
On turn 1 enemy phase here, the positioning of Milady near the top, well, as far up as we can get, and Echidna at the bottom of the map, influenced the movement of the enemy flyers. So that one group of Pegasus Knights up top and that one group of Wyvern Riders up to the right. The reason why we left Echidna down there is basically so that those Wyvern Riders are going to be pulled towards the bottom of the map instead of harassing our group near the middle of the map, where they could become an issue later on for some more weaker units. Here, Zeiss finally has reached level 10 and he gets to promote, so Zeiss hype.
I am very hyped for Zeiss and his 40 plus HP and his enormous big strength stat that he can use to stab people with.
He's stronger than Percival.
Well, in a way he is, but he's definitely not as handsome as Percival, and he's also not as fast, and he can also not use as many weapons, like he has to use a dinky iron sword.
But he flies, which is important, because now he gets to compliment Milady on the front lines. I mean, I can almost say at this point, with the exception of one more flyer that we're going to get much later on, our Air Force is complete.
Yeah, it's like the Pope's private Air Force.
Yeah, and here we're going to eventually have some units fly Air Milady and Air Zeiss in order to reach the area near the gate so that we can seize the gate in low amount of turns.
Yeah, our other way of, I guess, air transport, warp, has just been repaired by the hammer and staff, so you have that to look forward to in future maps. It only has 5 uses, so a repair adds 4 more uses to that.
Dude, did you see Milady just get crit by the Pegasus Knight?
Well, it's good you pointed it out. I almost missed it because it doesn't really matter if Lady gets crit. She just doesn't really care. I thought she was doing like acrobatics or whatever.
So here's basically the premier reason why a lot of players prefer going to the Ilia route rather than the Sokka route, because Ilia route predominantly features 2 characteristics, the Pegasus Knights and the Ballista. The Ballista are a bit of a pain in the butt, but the Pegasus Knights, on the other hand, they're really weak in comparison. Because in Sokka route, you have a bunch of nomads, and they are generally weak offensively, but they're really fast, and they're really hard to kill, because it's almost impossible to double them with anyone.
Yeah, you also get to fight them on enemy phase more often, whereas the nomads, they fight at 2 range, which means it's harder to counter them with stronger weapons, like javelins and hand axes would be your best option for most units, and that's just not very feasible with their low hit and low might. But on the other hand, Pegasus Knights, you can fight them on enemy phase, and more importantly, units like Shin and Igrene can just hit them on player phase with a bow and just one-hit KO even the promoted one.
Yeah, I should take this opportunity to point out the 2 long rescue chains that are going on this player phase. First we had Shin give Lalum to... Sorry, we had Saul give Roy to Shin, who in turn gave Roy to Tate, and then Tate is currently still carrying him. Now we are currently having Clarine give Lalum to Shanna. Shanna's going to hand her off to Igrene. Igrene's going to hand her off to Zeiss, and Zeiss is finally going to drop her.
Man, Layla must really enjoy being carried around like that. Seems kind of strange to me, but whatever works, right? Just drop her somewhere and she's all ready to go.
She's getting her frequent flyer miles this chapter.
She really is. We actually need everyone in that position right there. And we see Echidna doing the whole distraction thing where she just stalls them with an Iron Axe instead of getting down to low HP and then countering with a huge Worm Slayer hit like the last few times we saw her do that. And we saw some more Ballista bait.
I want to point out why exactly it's crucial to have Milady and Zeiss in this exact positioning right here. Because you saw earlier there was a mercenary that attacked Zeiss with a light brand, and he did a pretty hefty amount of damage because the light brand is a fixed 10 damage from range. Now, if Zeiss and Milady were not there and Lalum were in the position that she was currently in, the mercenary would have been able to attack Lalum from 2 range with the light brand and 1 round KO her.
Yeah, and the lady needs to be there to get the boss kill next turn, and in return she's going to get hit by the Purge from the boss, which is pretty strong, but since we used Barrier on her in one of the very early turns, it doesn't really matter, and now she gets to fly up and do stuff, and Zeiss gets to visit the village for a guiding ring.
Yes, you may have noticed that there are 2 other villages in the map. We can't get those because they're a bit too far out of the way, but they contain some pretty valuable items. It's just a shame that we can't get them.
So, well, it doesn't really matter. Since they're so far out of the way, it wouldn't be worth it regardless of what you do. But Milady gets her, I believe it's her last boss kill actually, which is unfortunate because I like seeing her kill bosses despite her being, or supposed to be bad at it. But oh well.
Yes, the real reason why I say that she was bad at boss kills is because she doesn't get any more the rest of the game, compared to, like, Percival, who's very good at boss killing.
The best.
I'm a bit, confused by why there are so many priests on this map, as opposed to bishops who could actually do something to you. Like, Saul got silenced, but it's really no big deal, and Igrene never got berserked throughout the entire map. Maybe they just couldn't afford any bishops because they spent all their money in red gems.
Yeah, I guess that must be it.
Anyway, that's chapter 18 completed in 4 turns. We'll see you next time.
See ya.